Okay, I'll start. So, welcome everyone. So, today I'm gonna teach you how to build a reusable component in LWC. So, before starting, I'll introduce myself. So, I'm a full stack JavaScript developer. I'm a LWC specialist. Kishore, can you mute your mic if possible? Yeah, that would be it. So, yeah, I have worked in financial, educational, and insurance sector. I have a great passion for the user experience or building a digital products. And if you guys have any doubt or any query related to this session, or you want to discuss about any JavaScript topic or any idea you have, we can discuss anytime on my social media links. Like I have LinkedIn, Twitter, as well as YouTube. This is my YouTube channel. So I'll move on to the agenda. So today I'll explain how to build a simple model first. Then we'll go into the problem statement, like how I can reuse that simple model. After that, I'll see how to face the real-time challenges and then how to fix those challenges. So case one. So today is my first day in the company, and my manager asked me, or my company asked me to build a model that has heading, that has some text on the body, that has two buttons and the cross icon. So this is my first task as a LWC developer. So I said, okay, let me start building it. But many people do this mistake. They start writing the code immediately. So first approach I would always suggest everyone, like you should try to understand whether this component is available in the lightning web components already or not. So to check that, you need to go into this component reference guide. Here you can see all kinds of components available, like we have a card, accordions, avatar, badges. So here you always search first component that you are planning to build, because this will speed up your development. These are the all reusable component already given by Salesforce. So I searched here first time. I said, oh, here model component is not available. Then what should I do? Shall I write from scratch again? Do I need to write the CSS again and again, and I need to get the look and feel similar to the Salesforce having? So then I realized, okay, no, there is another library I can look into. That is the Lightning Design System. That is the CSS library given by Salesforce. I said, okay, let me go there and see is anything available there for the model component. And I found something, and I clicked on the link, and I see, okay, let me see whether this modal code will help me or not. At least this will help me from the designing point of view. I found something similar that I was looking for, and I said, yes, now I can do it. So what I need to do is, because the benefit of this library is it's mobile friendly, accessible friendly, and if all the classes are inbuilt, you don't need to write a single CSS file. And writing CSS in web development is one of the hardest tasks. So we said, okay, we'll find this, and I found the code as well. I said, okay, let me take this code. I'll copy paste this code, and I'll say, okay, let me go and to my VS code. So I already set up the machine. I'll explain before pasting the code. So I created two components. Creating a component is very easy in Lightning Web Component. Those who don't know, go to the view tag, open the command palette, select the create Lightning Web Component, and give the name. I have given the card component. So once you click the create the component, you will see the blank template like this. This is the totally fresh component. I have just added the hello one here, but for you it will not be there. I have keep the data file as it is. I'm not using Salesforce to showcase the output. I'm gonna use the local dev environment, and this will be the card component where I'm gonna enter my I'm gonna use my model component. So I go back and I create another component. The name is called lightning model, and you will have now two components. This component is also empty component. I haven't wrote any code here now. So we're gonna use these two components, card component as the container, and lightning model is our reusable component that we're gonna write. Okay, and to run or to view the code, you just to right click. I already clicked on the preview component locally. So what it's gonna do is, instead of looking the output in the Salesforce uh, itself, we're gonna use a local browser output. The benefit of that is you can see immediately what are you changing in the code. You don't need to deploy it again and again. Okay, so I clicked on preview component locally, and it will open a URL something like this for you guys. So you can refresh this. It will be a completely empty component right now. Nothing will be there because we don't have anything there except hello one. So this is the hello one. If I change something here, hello 1 2, there immediately it gets changed to 1 2. It takes fraction of seconds and it updated there. So you don't need to deploy it again and again. Okay, so yeah, that's better. Or here I'll do that actually. Yeah, yeah. So till now I haven't done anything apart from creating the component. So I hope you will see it till now. Okay, this is the basic thing in the LWC to create a component. Now we start solving the problem. So our first problem is to create a model, and to approach that we go to the lightning design system. We found the model code, we copy the code, we come to the model component, we just paste as it is the code. Okay, and I'll not do anything. I'll go to the card component. I'll call this lightning component into a card component. And to call this, it's very easy. You need to call C high is the namespace and your component name. So our component name is lightning hyphen model. So we embed our component into our container component, and we'll go there to see the output. It is refreshing right now. Now we got the output immediately. Okay, so design wise we are good. I'll go back to the slide and see what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a delete opportunity as a heading. I'm looking for a are you sure you want to delete some body, 2 buttons and the cross icon. So I'm already getting the header, I'm getting the body, I'm getting the buttons, but not the icon. And to get the icon, because in the code that we have copied, they are using SVG icons that are not available to us. So I'll just remove this as it is, and I'll start thinking, okay, from where I can get the icon. So I know I already have a library where I can find icon. I'll look at the component reference, I'll look into icons, and I'll say, okay, let me search the icon, cross icon. So here it will show you the code of all the icons that they have right now. For the icon, so I know it, the cross icon comes under the utility family. So I'll just copy paste any icon from here, and I'll go there to our code base. I'll paste it inside the button. I'll change the title from error to close because I want this icon to be of close. And these titles and alternative text are very important from the accessibility point of view. And the, instead of error icon, it should be a close icon. So this is how you create the icon. Let's go to our code now. Here it was an error, now it's refreshing. It will show us the close icon soon. Now you can see it's a close icon, but it's still not white color, it's of gray color. So let's change the variant quickly. This, so here you can add the variant in the code. Variant is the type of styling. So there is a property called variant, and I'll change that variant to inverse. That will change the color from gray to white, and it will turn into white in a minute. Okay, so now we have the icon, we have everything. Now we start formatting based on our need. So maximum people do this till here, and they just put the static content. For them the component is ready. So if I have to achieve the same thing, here I'll do quickly the changes that looks like our exact first model. So I'll enter the text that the header is. The header is elite opportunity, and the text inside that is something is the whole body tag, and I just enter the text as it is. Or if you want to delete the opportunity, and now I go back, you can able to see the white color icon. You can able to see the same thing. So maximum people stop it here. My task is completed and we are good to go. Okay, we'll come back to the button action and other things later, but right now the design wide we are good. So next day in the company, you submitted this code, and they are second day in the company, and that you get another task to create a model. And now you are in the confusion because this model don't have any header, and now you are thinking, okay, it has the body and it has the button. Now again I need to create a new component, or should I reuse the same component? So few people do it like creating multiple components, now second component for that particular case. So we'll start uh, optimizing this code so that it can cater both the scenarios. So to do that, what we can do is we should take the data from the parent, and parent is our card component. So I want my card to pass the data down to the model, and we will show that data on the model. So I already created a file in the constant.js, whatever the data we're gonna use in our today's session. Okay, I'll share with you the code, don't worry guys. So this is the model one in which I want to show the heading delete opportunity, and in real time also it's a good practice to move your static content to the constant file or in the constant variables. Okay, so that's what I did. First thing, I want this data to be available. So these are many exports because we're gonna solve 10 types of model today. So first approach should be you need this data to be available, and there are many imports, many exports. So we're gonna do all import using star as model data. Star is used when you want to import everything from that particular file, which is export. And I'm telling, okay, I'll call it as a alias. I'm giving model data, and the file name is card component constant.js, and I'll create a local property here, and I'll map the same data to the local property. Now the data is available in particular property. Okay, so now whole data available here. This whole data is inside the constant.js in our JS file. Now my approach should be I should able to pass down the heading and the body. Okay, if I have to pass something, I need to add some attribute, and my child component only able to listen the data if he has some power to listen it, and the power is given by API. So you have to import API from LWC package. So if you create a variable inside a component with @API, so that variable usually has the power to listen to the data that is coming from the parent. So I said, okay, I want I'll say title. I want title from the parent. I want body text from the parent. You can make body itself, that's fine. Once the title is available, I'll replace the heading with the, I'll just remove all the static content we have used, and this heading as well. So this is title, this is body, rest let it be as it is, and we'll go back to our parent and we'll say our child is expecting two things from you. One is title and second thing is body, and which data you want you can pass. We already stored in the model data, so I'm passing first model data, that is model data 1, and inside that I have model 1 dot heading and body. So I'll pass down model 1 dot heading and copy paste the same thing, and I'll pass down the body. To be able to pass the data, model.js will pass the data and it immediately brings the data on the HTML file. We are just catching the data parent and on the child. If I go back, your model remains same. We don't want the model to be open every time, right? So we want the model to be open on click of a button. So what we're gonna do here is we'll go back in the parent and we'll start creating a button first. You can go and copy the button code from here itself. Okay, I already have code ready. Copy paste from there. So I'll go back to VS Code and copy the button. So this is the normal button given by Lightning components. So I button variants brand of blue color. I'm giving a label to the button normal model. This is the trick I'm using right now. I'll explain you in a minute. I'm giving some name property to the button. This button has an on click handler, and if somebody hit this handle click, it should call a method that is handle click. It will receive an event. Okay, and what we want is right now by default my model is visible. So I'll wrap it with a template if true condition. Is if true is a directive, and when the condition here in between this flower bracket is true, then only the component will load. So I'm wrapping our model and saying when a condition here true, then only the model. Okay, so the condition I'm creating here is I'll go back to JS and create the condition show model 1. So I'm creating a property show model. In real-time use case, you maximum have 2 model in a same screen, maximum 3 maybe, but we're gonna use 10 models. So I'm creating with the number naming show model 1, show model 2. Likewise, we're gonna use that. I create property show model, and the same property I'm giving the name to the button as well actually. And I'll tell you the reason for this. So once the user click the button, I want this property to be changed true from the false, and to do it dynamically I'm gonna use event dot target dot name. As my name is same as property, so it's gonna this dot show model 1 automatically, and we can change it to true. So I don't need, if I have 10 model going for a 20 model, I have to write only one and click. It will automatically take care of everything. Okay, that's why I have given the same name to the button similar to the property I'm using it here. This is the first trick. Okay, now we have the model, we have the property, and we have to enter the condition in the if true. Now when the component loads, show model 1 is false, so the model will not be visible. As soon as you click the button, it will call the handler and it will show the image. Change this property to spelling is wrong, so I'll change this property to model will be visible. Let's go to and see the output. Things are working fine or not. Now we should have the button, not the model on the screen. So we have the button, that's good. And if I click the button, now I'm able to see the model. That is perfectly fine that we have built till now. So we right now I'm not talking about close yet. I'll come back to this later, and I'll go to our slide back quickly. And now the user want another model that should not have the header. So let's build this model quickly. I'll copy paste the same code below, because this is the second component we are going to build, right? So I'll say the property is true. In JS we're going to say initialize it by false, and here by default you will not see anything, and the second button by which we can trigger the second model, and I want that model name to be similar as the property that we are using, show model 2, but data should be different. So the data is this time model 2 heading and body. So it's a model 3 right now. I just misplaced the name here. So I go and change this to body, but I don't have the header in particular case. I'll remove the title and I'll go back and see if this model works or not. So I'm passing the data, that is to avoid confusion. I'll just change the name, it's better. So I'll just okay, model 2 data, and it's a model 3 data. So I'm just using the model 2 data that has only body, and let's see whether it's working fine or not. Right now I haven't touched anything in the component that I have created lightning model. I'm just playing around with the pen component. It's still loading. So here in our JS file we are still expecting the title, and we're still showing the title. We haven't done anything if true, if false in the code of the file. That's slow. So I'll call the first button. It's still working. I'll refresh it because we don't have a close option right now. I'll change the button name here itself so that we can differentiate. And I'll say headless model. It's pretty slow. I don't know why, but it's usually very fast. Now I open the headless model. You can see some heading text is not coming, but data is like the space is still there because there are some classes we already defined. So we need to remove this. So we need to touch something inside our model component. What we can do here is we can say, okay, model, let's ask the parent first whether we have to show the model or not. We create another property and we'll say hide model. So if parent said, okay, hide model true, will not show the header at all. And I'll come back to HTML. This is the header tag. I'll wrap this header tag with if true directive. Instead of if true, want to use if false this time because my name is opposite. So if hide model is true, it means this condition will not allow this header to look in the DOM. Okay, so it means when hide model is true, this content will not load. And I'll go to the HTML and I'll say for the second model only we don't want to show the here, and we'll say hide model. You can keep it as is. If you will not find any boolean where it consider as true. I hope so. Let's try it. It's refreshing. I'll open the headless model now, and now you can see I don't have the header at all. Till here it's okay. Somehow the developer survived for the second day, luckily. Now he moved on to the third day. Now the third day, he got again a model to build, and this time he don't want a footer to be there. And now he's feeling like, what should I do now? Like every day I'm changing something, and this time he needs an icon as well. So he said, I can't send the icon from parent to child as a string. So he thought there are some options that I can think of, and he went to the manager and he said, boss, what all cases do you think it may come in the future in the model? You just give me the high level understanding so that I can build a component in a way so that it cater your all scenarios. So manager was having the understanding what gonna be the future screens look like. So he's walked through him from the 10 cases. He said there will be a case in which you don't have the footer. There will be a case your button will be in two different directions. There will be a case your model will be of small size. There will be a case your model will be of medium size. There will be a case your model will be of very large size. Then there will be a case your body will have multiple paragraphs. There will be a case in which right now the all models have this blue color button on the right side, but this time the confirm button is on the left side and the cancel on the right side. So it means butter interchange is there. And there may be a case the form will be inside the model. So after analyzing this, he he start thinking like what all thing I can do so that my component can cater all the scenarios. So the best advice given by big architects are your component should handle only those action which not gonna change. Okay, so by seeing the models, how I get to know what all action not gonna change? By seeing the model, I can see only one action that is not gonna change is this close icon, because model will always most probably will have this close icon. Okay, that is first point I noted down. Okay, this action I can keep it inside the model component. This button can change because their location can change from left to right, right to left. They can swap together. So I should give a feature to a person so that he can handle it himself. This button should not handle by the component itself. Then the other thing he observed, the body is changing very frequently. Sometimes you need a two paragraphs, sometimes you need a single paragraph, sometimes you need a form. If I have to build a reusable thing, my form should be such flexible. The user can take care everything. The model should not be touched again and again. If you are changing your reusable component again and again, it means it's not at all reusable. The reason is the first time you build a component, you pass the sprint, your testing completed. Now you're touching it again. So the tester has to test the previous logics as well that you already did in the previous sprint, right? So your component should be very flexible so that the code inside the component should not be changed. So he noted down, okay, the button should be the features given to the user. Body changes should be given to the user. I'll take the header as well. I will give an option to the user. You can change the header from outside because he may have there may be a chance the header may be multiple lines as well. But I'll give the feature if you don't have multiple lines, I can catch your header. Okay, so start building the all scenarios one by one. Okay, so I'll go back to the code. Until now we are good. Okay, he already completed the 2 day, but he now gets a better understanding. So he decided, okay, I will take the title from the parent. I will take, because we need to build a component that is accessible friendly as well, and these tags that are ARIA tags are very important to build a what we call accessible friendly code. And to do this, we realize every time if we are calling three models or the five models, the IDs are repeating same. According to the web standard, ID should always be unique. So we need a model ID from the parent every time so that we can generate the unique IDs every time inside the model. So he go back and he said, I need a title. I need a model ID. Then he said hide model option should be there. He said I need to know the size as well, if he has some sizes. Okay, apart from that, he said footer I will hide myself, header I will allow them to hide. Okay, so first thing what we're gonna do is we'll play with the body itself. So we'll see how we can make body so flexible so that the user can send the HTML code itself instead of a string. And to do that, there is an option in the LWC called slots. So there is a concept called slot. Slots are of two types. One are name slot, one is a name slot. So the name slots are the slots in which you have a particular name. Like I'll say this slot as name body. So when the parent sends something to a slot and tell, okay, I am sending this for body slot. So there the name slots will be helpful. But you want a feature in which whatever the user send inside this tag, whenever the user send anything inside the tag, it should go automatically to the body. Then you always create unnamed slots. It means when the slots names are not available. So I created a slots. Okay. So whenever I pass something to the body, I will be able to see the content. So let's add something here. I'll say div hello, I am okay. We are not passing the body anymore, so I'll pass this data directly. And here also I'll pass the data directly. I'll remove the body tag. I'll keep the title here, and in the second model I don't want the header. Now I'll remove this body tag, we are not gonna use anymore. So I'm expecting the model to send the ID every time. So I'll go back and I'll say whenever your property has camel casing, while using in the attribute it should be hyphenated. So I'll say model ID. I'll say the model ID should be model 1, and in other case I'll pass this as model 2, because this ID should be always unique and we're gonna use inside. So I'm able to pass the ID as well. ID model we are using, size I'll come back to later. Okay, so in the model we receive the ID and I want this ID to be unique. So what I'm gonna do is this area attribute IDs I'm gonna change. So first I'll check this where this ID is. So I'll replace this. I'll say model content ID, and here also, because when you read this code on the screen reader, whatever the ID you give here, it should read out the header text. This ID and the label by ID should be same. That's why they have given the same here. So I said, okay, I'll take and generate this new ID dynamically and I'll create a getter. So getter is useful when you want to manipulate the data and show the manipulated data on the HTML. So I'll say get model content ID, and it should be, we'll use backticks, that is string interpolation. So model content ID, and we'll add a dynamic string that we are getting from the parent, that is this dot model ID. And I'll go back and I have another ID that we are using, that is body ID. So I'll say here another ID. I'll create another getter, that is model body ID. Actually, it should be a head ID. Let it be. I create another dynamic ID so that every time a model comes it will have a unique ID. And I'll say this, any name you can give. So you can say model body ID, and we are taking the unique ID that user is passing from the parent. So the IDs are unique, we are good with that. Our slots are coming, we are good with that. Our title is coming, we are good with that. And hide model is, we are good with that. So I'll go back to the screen and see things are okay or it's broke. If I open, things are working fine. And if I go to my HTML, I'll see what I'm passing just to make sure things are working fine. So we are passing the body content, that's fine. We are passing the header. So to move forward, I want on click of this cross icon, at least my model to be closed. Okay, because without that we can't test all the models one by one. And as I said, you have to see the component and you need to figure out which action you want to be inside the component and which action you want to be outside the component. And we figured out this close icon should always be from inside the model component. The reason is it always be same in the model scenario. These buttons can change, their location can change and their way of action may change, but this will be remain same. What we're going to do here is we'll go and add the close handler to our button, that is our icon. So we can add to the lightning button because icon has a wrapper button because of accessibility. So I'll add a change handler here, like on click handler. On click of this close icon, close handler should get called. And once this close handle should called, so I'll say handlers, and I'll create the method. So whenever this method gets called, I want to dispatch an action to the parent because we are hiding our component from the parent properties, right? So what I'll do, I'll say this dot dispatch event. I want to dispatch an event. What kind of event? I want to create a custom event. This is how we do the child to parent communication. What kind of event name you want? I want icon close. This is my event name. Do you want to pass some ID or anything? Yes, I want to pass something because this may not be useful right now, but always pass your unique model ID to the parent. So I'm passing model ID to the parent so that in the if there are uh, multiple models in the same component, you are able to differentiate which model close icon has been clicked. Okay, so now I am creating a custom event and I'm passing that model ID to the parent. So whenever you call a event in the HTML, it should always be start with the on keyword. So like on click and also on icon close. The event we created is the icon close, but in the HTML we call the event with the on keyword. So we are saying okay, and on whenever this custom event gets called up, what we want to call is we want to call cancel handler. We'll create this method and same thing I'll copy paste for our second model, that is close handler. I'll go to the JS and quickly create the event cancel handler. And to cancel handler, what the cancel handler gonna do, it change this property back to false because on click of button we are making it true. This will receive an event and we are passing event.detail that has the model ID, and the model ID is same as the property we are using. That's a clever trick while you're using, otherwise you need to create many handlers every time and make it as false. So now whenever I call this close icon, it trigger this close handler. It will dispatch an event icon close. It will go to the parent HTML. This handler will listen and this handler will call the cancel handler and it will change the property that is coming with the model ID to false. So let's go to our component back and see if it's working. I am opening this I'm able to close this. Right now this don't have that option, but at least with the first model we able to do. So we able to achieve the close action. So let's go back to our page, yeah, to our editor. Now what we want to do is we want to give the feature the footer should come from the parent. Not we're not gonna handle this every time, because this is the most dynamic part, and every time button will be in different situation or different text will be inside. So I just want the model to be passed from the parent, not from child. So what I'm gonna do here is I'll take this button out, and within the footer tag I'll create a slot, and I'll gonna create a slot with the name by which my parent get to know where he wants to place those button. So I'll give this slot name as footer, and I'm gonna say whenever somebody pass something from parent with the name footer in the slot, it should come here. I'll go to my parent tag and I'll create a div here, and I'll create the buttons, and within this I'm gonna say my slot name is footer. So I just bring out the button to the parent now. So the parent has the freedom, he wants to add the handler here or not. Similar thing I'm gonna do here as well to my second component with the footer, cancel and save. And I know already on the click of cancel I have to call the cancel handler. So I'm gonna say on click, again you need to call the cancel handler that gonna close our model, and on click of this button as well we want to call the cancel handler. But if I go here in the cancel handler, right now cancel handler is listening the event.detail, and event.detail always come from the custom event, not from the standard event. To solve this problem we can use the data attribute that is very commonly used nowadays to set the data in the HTML. So what I'm gonna do is I'll say a property in the button called data, and whenever it is called data attribute, so it is like star. After data whatever you'll call, it will be like I'm calling it a model ID, and I'm giving the model ID name same ID that I'm using here. So whenever this button gets called I'll pass this ID, and same ID I'm gonna pass in the save button. I want that attribute to be here in the other buttons as well. So here the ID is model 1, and the same thing I'm gonna use it in the save button. So what is the benefit here is if I add the on click here and I'll call this, it will come here. When the cancel handler calls from a button, it will come in the form of, so I'm saying let model ID equal to, it will come in the form of event dot target dot data set dot model ID. So it will come in the form. So whenever you want to fetch the data from your HTML in the form of data model like data star, whatever the attribute you are saving here, you always use data set. So from data set give me the model ID. And you already know whenever use a attribute we hyphenated it, we never use a camel casing. So whenever there is a hyphen in JavaScript it will change into camel case. So I'm using model ID, but the problem will remain same. But whenever I click on the close icon, it will call the event.detail, but I'm calling the button, it will give me this. So what I can do is I can do a ternary operator and check if model ID is coming from dataset. If it is coming from dataset, use this. Otherwise, if it's not coming, use event.detail. So this gives you the freedom to differentiate whether it's coming from the button or coming from the child. And I'm going to use this model ID. So now you have the button that has cancel header, so you're able to cancel your model, and you already add it here as well. I'll just wrap this up a little bit. So let's go to our screen and see if this cancel handler is working totally fine or not, whether our button is placing correctly within the slots or not. Okay, so now it's refreshed and I click cancel, it's working totally fine. If I open this, I click cancel and it's also working totally fine. If I open this, it able to differentiate whether this click is coming from the close icon or coming from the cancel button. So we solved our 2 or 3 issues. So now we want the third option. Will be create the another one, that is footerless, and we want the icon to be there, right? So we'll go and create the footless component. So I'll go to the HTML of the parent. I'm gonna copy paste the same thing below. Just put the third component, because we're gonna reuse the same component again and again. This will have a ID3. I want to pass the ID3 below. I want my button to know this is model 3. There should be a property that should handle our show model 3 initialized by false. There should be a button that should trigger this model as well, and this should have property 3, and we'll call it as footless model. And our template is ready, our model is ready. We have a cancel. We'll change this to the content we want is the model 3. So I'll go to the HTML and say I want a body from model 3. I want the header because we are already passing the title right now. So I'll say title come from heading, and I'll remove this attribute because I want to show the title or heading this time. I don't want to show the footer, so I'm gonna completely remove the footer slot. Let's see how it behaves there. I'm getting some error here. Template element is used to declare, but no closing match. This is 1. Okay, we forgot to add here closing. And I'll just put the comment so that we can able to differentiate the code, because we zoomed it a lot and taking a lot of space. So now we already created 3 components. One is with normal scenario, one is without header, so we add the attribute, and the third one is without footer, and we are showing the header and the body. Let's go to our screen. We'll see the 3 buttons now. Now if I call the footless model, buttons are not coming, but this little space is coming. We need to look into this. Rest all are working fine, totally fine. So we'll look into that space issue. We can do the same thing that we done for header, like I can catch from the parent. Okay, parent tell me, I can say it here is @API hide footer. But I want to show you another approach that internally Salesforce components use, the way they have built their component. So what they do is they use slot methods. So I'll show you the slot methods. Go to the HTML. First thing, this particular class is bringing this space, actually that white gray color background. What we're gonna do, we're gonna change this. We'll remove this altogether, this class right now, and we'll see anything happening on the screen or not, just to make sure whether this class is the culprit or do we need to change something else. So now you see that class is the problem, but if I remove that class and open the other, you see the buttons are looking very weird and it's not aligned, and also we need that class anyhow. So we need to be clever enough to set this class dynamically, and to do that I'm gonna use a method given by slot. It means whenever the slot receives something, call this method. So method is footer slot change that I'm creating. This is the method I'm creating right now, and You can totally follow the approach we used it here, but I'm showing you the another way of handling it. Okay, so don't get confused. So here in the slots, I'll say another method. Whenever the slot receives some data in it, you call this method. It will receive an event. We'll say on slot equal to event dot target. We're storing the target, and within the slot there is a property called dot assigned elements. It will this is a method. It will send you back an array of element that is coming in the slot. So what I mean here is, if from the parent you are passing here in the footer, if you are passing two buttons, it will receive two childs. If there are three buttons or three elements, three childs, like that it will tell you in the form of array. So if it is an array, it will always give me the length, right? And if length is not equal to 0, it means something is coming in the slot of the footer. So I'll do it as footer, some variable I created, and I'm storing that value whether it's a true or false. And I'm gonna create another local property here, and I'll say this dot footer class. This not this dot. I'm initializing. I'm creating the variable only, the footer class, and I'll use that footer class below and say this dot footer class equal to if has footer is true, right? So if this property has true, means the content is there inside the slot, then use the class that we removed from their HTML. That class is as model underscore underscore footer. If it's not there, just keep it empty. In this particular class, I'm gonna use in the HTML dynamically. So this is the another way you can play around with it. So let's go to our output and see whether it's working or not. So if I go to footer, it's working totally fine. And if I go to this, here it's also working fine. So this is two different way of hiding and showing. So till here it's all good. Let's add the save event handler as well, because it's pretty simple, because now we already given the control to the user who is creating the components. So just create a method like on success or something. So we'll create a method called on click here, on click success handler. Okay, and copy paste the same success button to a success handler here as well in the first model, and we call this button inside GS file. We'll create the handler. Success is coming only from the parent, so we can just, we won't close that event, so we can say event.target.set.model id to be false, and model id is coming from the name property that we are setting here, is data model id, right? So that data attribute we are already setting it here as well as here, right? So our success is done, our both action is done, our close icon is done, and our footerless or our headless, our normal model is ready. Now let's go and start creating the sizes. Now I need to figure out, is there any classes available that gives me the sizes? So I'll go to the model, and here I figured out they have some small model classes, that is SLDS model small, medium model classes, that is SLDS model medium, and there is a large model class, that is SLDS model large. So I can use the same classes to make it more reusable using these size classes. So I'm already expecting something from the parent to pass me, apply the classes. And the class, if you see here where they are applying the classes, they are applying the classes in the section tag, that is the first tag where we are using the SLDS model. So I'll go and show you where they are using. They are using that class here. By default is the extra small, but in the component we're gonna use only three. We're gonna give only three options: small size, medium size, and the large size. So we're gonna create a getter here, another getter, and we'll say get model size, and we'll say let equal to, the user will pass some size from the parent, so we're gonna use this dot size is there or not, whether he is sending something or not. If he is sending, we're gonna convert that into two lowercase. That is always good to convert into the lowercase or uppercase and check against that. If he is not sending, keep it empty. Okay, so we are doing first thing, the checking and conversion, and then we're gonna return. What we're gonna return here is these two classes are anyhow required to show, so we'll copy these two classes. We'll come back and we'll say using the backticks, these two classes always return, and then we're gonna use extrapolation, and we're gonna say if size is equal small, then for this I am using the ternary operator. No, I need to use this inside. Then use this class along with the other two classes, that is SLDS model small. So ternary operator is like check the condition. If it's true, the first operand will apply, otherwise the second will execute after the colon. So if it is small, the SLDS model will pass along with these two classes. I'm checking after that again, if size equal to medium. If it is medium, then you pass the class medium, that is SLDS model medium. Just copy paste this class, and otherwise if size equal to large, then append the large class, that is SLDS model large. If nothing is there, just keep it empty. Okay, so we did three level ternary operators. So first, if size is there, take this class. If medium size is there, then take medium class. If large is there, take the large class, and we gonna use this getter and use it in the class attribute. Okay, so now we are good with the sizes. Let's go and start playing with our component. I'll say fourth component. I'll copy paste the fifth component. Copy paste the sixth component. And the component will be remain same, or I can show you the everything in the same component as well. Sorry, should be within the template. So it's like it should be within the main template type. That's why it's throwing error. So I'll copy paste this. I'll say fourth, or I'll make it simple 4. I'll paste it again. I'll make it 5. I'll paste it again. I'll make it 6. And I'm gonna create the same property in the JavaScript as well quickly. False, 5, false, and the sixth model as well, false. And we need 3 more buttons. Go to the top, we'll create 3 more buttons quickly. 1, 2, and 3. Small model, medium model, and large model. And we need this to be 4. This should be 5, and this should be 6. And now we are calling the model. The model size should be, we need to pass the size attribute. We'll say size equal to small. We want to pass size attribute medium. We want to pass size attribute large. And let's go to, let it be without footer. That's all right, because right now we are playing with the sizes. So let's go back and now open our model. We have already seen these three. We'll go to small model. This is the small size. Okay, the one by default it's coming, it's a extra small. So right now it's not closing. So we have maybe misplaced some IDs. Yes, so we misplaced the IDs here, here, as well as here. So let's go and let's refresh this quickly. We have the data for these as well, that is model sizes. You can add that model sizes quickly if you want. Model sizes heading and model sizes body. And the close handler is there, everything is there. Let's go back to model. It's working fine. Medium model, that is bigger than the small, that is also working fine. Let's see the large model, and that is more bigger than that. And if I open the footless, this is the extra small actually, and this is the small, little bit bigger, more bigger and bigger. So this is now your component ready with normal scenario, with head, without head, without footer, small and different sizes. Let's go back and see our slide, what else is remaining. And we need a button direction that we'll look into now. So I want the user to have the freedom to create a component in which he can able to change the direction of the button. So I'll make it as a 7th component. Now we don't need to check anything inside because we have the freedom of our buttons from outside only. I'll copy paste the same footer. I'll come back, I'll add those footer, I'll make it as 7, change it to 7, 7, 7. We'll add the property here. In real time you don't need to do this much thing because in a single page you hardly have 2-3 components, but I am showing 10 components, that's why I am creating this. So now you have your 7th component ready. You have the button, and we want the button to be in the different direction, and for that we already have a class. Let me add that class. So you can say if we look into the class name quickly. And the class name is SLDS model direction. So you can look into this class in the SLDS library, that is SLDS model foot directional. So it just changes the direction of your buttons. So let's go and see. You want the print on the left side and I agree on the right side. I'll change the button name, print, and the other one is I agree. I agree. And let's go back to our component. We need the button as well to see this quickly. So I'll create another button, that is model 7, and I'll give this name direction model. Come back, let's press this. The direction model is there, print and I agrees in different direction. If I click this, it's closing. I click this, it's closing because I already have the handle. And now you see it's very easy. We completed all those one. We are not touching anything inside the model, and it's looking bigger because we are using the size large. Now we'll look into the other use case that's pending quickly. The small size is done, medium size is done, large size is done. We want the body to be of multiple paragraphs. This is also very easy. I copy paste the same code again. This is called reusability. Now again same component you're gonna use. You're gonna use this time multiple body. I'll just say multiple, and I already have the content for that where the multiple paragraphs are there. Body 1 and body 2. I'll say multiple paragraph and body 1 and body 2. Body 1 and body 2. Rest let it be button similar. We're just targeting the different where the two paragraphs are coming on, because we already give the freedom to user to handle the your data inside the model from the parent component. So let's go back and see, and for that we need eighth component, like and it's show model 8. I'll just copy paste the classes again, this, and I'll go to the top. I'll create a button as well. I'll just copy this. I'll say this multi body model, and in the JS I'll just add the another property false. And let's go to our JS and see now in the component screen we have added the model 8, and below model 8 everything 8. Yeah, let's go. Let's refresh this once. So now you're able to see two paragraphs are coming. It's working fine now. Let's quickly cover the other option. Button interchange is very easy, so I'll not demonstrate this. I'll explain you directly. Just change the button order. It will work totally fine for you. So earlier print was on the left side and I agree on the right side. I just changed the order, and I'll go back. Now you'll see just I'm showing the confirm and the cancel button to be, because we already give the freedom to user that change the button from the parent component. He not need to change the anything from the child component. So I'll go here and see. Now you see print is on the right and I agree on the left side. Let's go to the last option, that is to include the form inside. That is also very easy because we are already handling everything from the parent side. I want the buttons, so I'll quickly go to my library, and here I'll check radio. These are the radio group, so I'll take the radio group. I'll gonna copy paste this code that they're gonna show us. I'll say okay, you have the code. I'll copy this, and within the same component I'm gonna add it. Let's be as it is. I'm passing the radio group. It needs some options. I'll go here and I'll take some options. Go to JS file. Below I'll add the getter of options. Your option based on your need you can handle. So in our slides I'm showing you the option of primary contact and secondary contact. So I'm changing those options to primary contact and secondary contact. And on click of radio button, I want to show what he has selected as well. So I'll add some handler. So it's gonna be radio handler. So I'm gonna say on click on change actually in case of radio button. I'll say radio handler, and here I'm going to create the radio handler method that will print the option that we have selected. So it will receive an event, and I'll say console.log. This is how you print in browser console. I'll use back selected record type is say event dot target dot value. Now we have the radio handler. We need a property we can store this, so you can create this anything. Selected record, and you can create this property in the component anywhere, anyhow. Ideally we define it on the top. If I'm not initializing it, JavaScript initialize it by default undefined. So let's go and see if something coming in the screen or not. So we're gonna see something radio button. I just put in the same model. I'm not creating any other model. So now two radio buttons are coming. We can change the radio group heading if you want. So you can change it to the use record type. You'll get it. So you can embed the form now easily. You don't need to change anything in your component. And now your single component is ready, and in your project you can use it anytime. And if I open the debugger just to showcase you, like whenever I select something, I'm able to see the value. It's throwing error right now. Cannot read the value of undefined. Quickly debug it. Okay, the target spelling is wrong. Let's go back. Clear the console. Open this. I'll select primary contact. It hits debugger. I'll go to console, and now you can see here it's showing selected record type is primary. If I select it here, selected record type is secondary. And based on cancel or your button type, anyhow you have the freedom to play around with it using cancel handler and success handler. And now if you see your component, you are not touching anything. It's giving you the freedom for title. You can send the hide, whether you want to hide the model or not, right? Whether you want the size, different size. So this name actually should be hide header, not the model. We can change this hide header. That makes more sense because we are hiding the header, not the model. And I'll search it here. Hide model is hide header. We are using it only one place, and we'll quickly check whether that thing is working fine or not. So it's working fine. So that's it, I guess. We have completed. Now if you guys have any question, you can ask me.